I'd like to welcome everybody back. Today what we're going to talk about is the 1894 Winchester and the difference between the 30 Winchester center fire rifle and the Winchester 30-30, in which the biggest difference is zero. There is no difference whatsoever between an 1894 Winchester marked 30 WCF, Winchester centerfire. 100% exact same rifle as the Winchester 30-30. 40 times through my history of the firearms have I met people with a Winchester 94 saying they couldn't buy ammunition for it. They couldn't find 30 WRF caliber ammunition, trying to sell the gun to me cheap. Now, this is not one of them. This gun is a post-64 1894 marked Winchester 30-30. Now, during the run of the Winchester 94, you'll see on a lot of the commemorative models and on the fancier ones with the steel butt plates, and that they say Winchester. I gotta go the other way. They will say Winchester 30-30. Winchester WCF. And the whole confusion and what caused all this confusion was, let me get this box out in this empty case. The 94 Winchester was developed specifically for the new smokeless powder. Now, when you look at this, you think, oh, the gun that won the West and John Wayne and the Rifleman and all them Western movies you watch. But in reality, this rifle has nothing to do with that. In all those movies and everything, you're looking at the Winchester Model 92, which was a pistol cartridge firing rifle that shot black powder ammunition. Small cartridges, handgun cartridges that weren't good for big game hunting. So when Winchester come out with their new 30 WCF cartridge, was the first smokeless powder cartridge. And the gun said 30 WCF on the barrel. Not 30-30. 30-30 was never even heard of. But what happened over time? Back in them days, you're out in the prairie or out in the wilderness hunting. You cast your own bullets. You loaded your own ammunition. So what happens? You're out in the wild. You got casings. You got bullets. But you don't have none of the new smokeless powder. So what did everybody do? They got a 30 caliber rifle they can't shoot. So they took and put 30 grains of black powder in the casing of the 30-30 of the 30 Winchester centerfire, and then everybody started nicknaming it 30-30. Because they were using 30 grains of black powder to shoot it. But in all reality, the gun was not made for black powder. It was made for the new smokeless powder that wasn't as common out in the wilderness as the black powder. And the black powder stayed around for another 20 years or so. So, with everybody loading black powder into the 30 WCF rounds, it just picked up the nickname 30-30. And if you see, that's 30-30, where if you look at like 44-40, there's a, whatever they call that crooked line. And you know what I mean? Like on they lean one way or the other. But anyway, this gun was never designed for black powder. Now you could put 30 grains of black powder in it and shoot it. And that's what everybody did, because black powder was everywhere. So the nickname 30-30 caught on. 30 caliber gun, 30 grains of black powder. But that's not the purpose of this gun. The purpose of this gun, it's stronger, it locks up tighter for the bigger rifle cartridge loads for game hunting. But it got so commonly known. Now this is my story, I think. There's a lot of stories of how WCF become 30-30. Now my belief is people out there had black powder, didn't have the new smokeless powder, so they're throwing 30 grains of powder into this rifle, into the cartridge. So it got nicknamed the 30-30. So time went by, there's black powder everywhere. The nickname 30-30 caught on. So Winchester and other ammunition companies just started making their ammunition in the new smokeless powder, like the rifle was designed for, but they still used the nickname 30-30. And the 30 WCF round sort of faded out of existence. I don't have a box. I don't think I've ever seen a box for sale anywhere. But when I tell somebody, they tell me I got a gun I can't find no ammunition for, it's a 30 WCF, I tell them to shoot 30-30 in it, they laugh at me. I had to physically take guns, put a 30-30 round in it and shoot it to prove to the people, and then I think they still didn't believe me. But the 30 Winchester centerfire cartridge is identical, is the 30-30 round. This was never a 30-30. Why Winchester would have started putting 30-30 on them, I don't know. Maybe because that's how everybody knew them. But this was not a black powder round. And when you go like with, say, the rifleman, his rifle was a 92 Winchester, and it was in 44-40. 44 caliber bullet, 40 grains of black powder. The same with all those 45-70s. Now you couldn't find a 45-70 in a Winchester back then, but in your sharps and that, your 45-70s was a 45 caliber bullet, 70 grains of black powder. 45-90, 45 grain bullet, 90 grains of black powder. So I believe that the 30-30 was the nickname that caught on and stuck. And you don't know how many people have sold their guns nice 30-30s, because after they changed, I don't know, in the 30s or 20s or something, they started putting 30-30 on their rifles. You didn't see the 30 WCF on things except for like commemorative models or your fancier wood guns, or your guns with like stainless hammers and stainless and brass butt plates. This is actually a pre-60 or post-64 30-30 here. I bought 30 years ago for $50. At one time I had probably 24 30-30s in Winchester and Marlin, because the Winchester and Marlin both could be bought in store brand names. Ward's, Foremost, Glenfield, New Haven. There was a bunch of them, but they were all Winchesters and Marlins mainly. Mossberg did make I believe it was a 742. But if you ever hear somebody saying they have a gun they can't find ammo for, and it's a 30 WCF, what they got is a 30-30 Winchester. You can check, and my story, my theory is that so many people had the gun, had the casings, cast their own 30 caliber bullets, but all they had was black powder. So they started using 30 grains of black powder. Yeah, this gun's a little rusty. I keep it that way. I have ones that look like brand new, but I kind of like the patina look myself. I used to rent this gun out for hunting season for years. I don't anymore. I'm afraid I won't get it back. I had so many of these I bought for $50 and $100, and when they get up into the $400 or $500 range, I started selling them all. Now they're in the $600, $700 range for a nice one. But I couldn't hold out that long. I was trying to pay my house off, so I sold them when the prices were at around $4. But if you look it up in a loading manual, the 3030 never has 30 grains of powder in it. And in black powder, there's black powder. But in smokeless powder, there's MRI 30, 31, 48, something. There's just tons of different kinds of powder and the amount of load you use, depending on the fineness or the coarseness of the powder. But in black powder, they were all the same, so they didn't have to have all them loads. So if it was a 44 caliber rifle, it was 40 grains of black powder. Didn't need no fancy measuring, didn't need to carry 3 or 4 different powders. You just used any black powder you come along. And the story on black powder, the older it is, the stronger it gets. So it never goes bad. They're pulling black powder out of sunken pirate ships from the 1700s and drying it out and selling it in today's market. Because even you can wet it and dry it back out, it just makes it a little bit more powerful. That's why the black powder was around so much longer after 1894 and this new rifle come out that took the smokeless powder, that people just kept loading 30 grains of black powder in it and shooting it that way because it was handy. So don't let anybody ever tell you that they can't find ammunition for the Winchester 30 WCF caliber. It's a 30-30, plain and simple. Why Winchester wouldn't have just kept with the 30 WCF on the box, I don't know. But they broke down, I guess, to the peer pressure of everybody calling it the 30-30, and they just renamed their ammo 30-30. And that's been around forever, my whole life. I heard it. My first rifle that my mother bought me. I was 13 years old, Winchester 30-30. I don't know why. And I've had guns that said WCF on the barrel, but I don't have one right now. And my buddies that buy and sell guns, every one they ever bought, they got cheap because nobody knew what a WCF caliber was. They didn't realize that all they had was a 30-30. I don't know why Winchester come out, or was the first, they either invented or was the first gun invented to shoot the new smokeless powder, was this Model 94. I wanted to show you here, you see a lot of the people spin caulking the, well, we're going to put an empty round of brass in there. What I wanted to show you, like, you see the people doing the spin caulking on the Winchester rifle. Well, with this rifle, right there, you cannot fire that gun until this little pin is pushed in by this lever. That gun will not fire. So when they're spin caulking, you don't have to worry about the gun going off until once you close. This round must have been fired in a different rifle. That's why you resize your ammunition. Because if you take a bullet that was fired in one rifle and put it in another one, and sometimes they will not close. See, this lock will not come all the way up. Until that lock, put that round out. Now see, that lock is up and locked now. And that pin's in. See, right there, that gun won't fire. Because of that little space right there. You pull that up and hold it tight, the gun will fire. So when you're spin cocking a Winchester, you want to make sure that that's up before it'll fire. That's your safety right there. Unless you hold it up, that's not going to fire. That was one of the reasons why they were able to spin fire you never see them spin firing a Marlin. But of course it has a safety similar to that too. Yeah, this video got kind of long, and I don't know if I'm explaining this easy enough to understand, but if you look it up, the Winchester 3030 is actually a Winchester 30 WCF. 3030 is just a nickname. Now, in the course of ammunition, there's two different types of ammunition. One type is on a list of manufactured ammo that is factory produced in today's market. There's a whole nother list on the other side of calibers that aren't produced, mass produced. And that gives that a whole different title. Like one's, it's 3 letters, like, I'm drawing a blank here. But there's 2 different lists. One list is all factory made ammo that's made to certain specs and is mass produced. The other list is all your wildcat calibers that aren't regularly factory produced, that you have to either load yourself or buy from somebody that makes it, but it's not on the same list as the factory produced ammo. I'm going to do some research and figure out what them initials are. If anybody knows it, let me know. But like I said, don't sell your 30 WCF because you can't find ammo. All you got is a 30-30. Blame Winchester for making the mistake of changing their ammo to 30-30 when it's not. So 30 WCF, 30-30, exact same everything. And there's no black powder involved unless you buy cowboy action loads, and then you will get black powder. But the 30-30 caliber, there's no 30 grains of any kind of powder in it. There's different powders, there's different loads, and none of them are 30 grains. So if you're going to load 30-30, get you a good manual, pick your bullet weight, pick your load. 150 grain 30-30 is what you want to shoot, at least here in Pennsylvania in our type of woods. All right, well, I'm going to end this right here, go back upstairs and go to bed because I feel like shit. So everybody have a good holiday. This might be my last video this year. Now, that's my story, but I might not stick to it. I might come up with another one. I don't know. I'm kind of depressed my numbers aren't growing more. Okay, buddy. What's the matter? What's the matter, huh? You want to go outside? You want to go outside? Look at that expression, huh? Okay, well, I'm going to take him outside. I hope everybody understands this video. If not, tell me. But, like I say, look it up. Winchester 30-30, Winchester 30 WCF, exact same bullet, exact same load. No black powder involved unless you buy cowboy action loads. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Have a nice day.